Welcome to the Dunk City Podcast.
Change direction by Matthews for the basket. Final foul play. Ellis takes it. Boogie Ellis has been the show. It is a Trojan tundra. USC is on to the Sweet 16 for the first time since.
Welcome back to the Dunk City Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Houston. I'm doing a solo podcast today, but with a very special guest. It's USC Assistant Athletic Director for Basketball Operations, Mike Swets. Mike has been with Andy Enfield since 2016. He handles team travel arrangements. He manages the program's budget. He works on the Trojans' non-conference schedule. He coordinates the daily schedule and oversees the team of student managers. He also acts as the program's liaison to the many other departments within athletics, as well as the rest of the campus community. But, as you'll find out, he does a whole lot more. Welcome to the Dunk City Podcast, Mike.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, you are no doubt one of the unsung heroes of the Andy Enfield era. You know, you've been at USC since 2016. You've been a part of 161 wins during that stretch, and it includes 4 tournament appearances. Would have been 5 if not for COVID. Should have been 6 if not for some bad luck. Take us back to the start of your journey and tell us a little bit about what inspired you to make a career out of college basketball and how that culminated with you ending up working for Andy Enfield.
Sure. Yeah, it starts, back in high school. Was never the best player on the team by any stretch, but just loved basketball a lot. And my playing career was done at the end of my high school career. And so looking into college, it was trying to find a way to stick around and just kind of be around sports. And so when I went to college, I went to Boston College. I actually started writing for the paper. My freshman and sophomore years, I was the assistant sports editor for the Heights, the local student newspaper. Covered the pretty much every team in the athletic department my first year, and then just still had that itch to be around basketball specifically. And I had worked camps all throughout high school, and kind of through one of my assistant high school coaches, got connected with the SID at BC, who connected me with the staff. Kind of had a little bit of a tryout, worked their camp. And then by my sophomore year, they brought me onto the staff as a manager. I spent 3 years as a manager at Boston College working for Al Skinner. Graduated in 2009. After that, was lucky enough to connect with Keno Davis down the road at Providence College for 2 years as a graduate assistant. And in my first year there, while I was working with the team, one of our assistants, Pat Scarry, was assistant coach my first year, left to go to Pittsburgh my second year. And then at about 9 months later, after my second year, I was finishing up my grad school, I was about to graduate, and Pat got the Towson job down in just north of Baltimore. Towson University was in the CAA at the time, still is, and although it looks a whole lot different than it does now. Got on there as the video coordinator for 1 year with a really great staff. And after the first year, the ops who was in place, Dwayne Simpkins at the time, left to go take an assistant coaching spot at UNC Greensboro, and was lucky enough to kind of be in a right place, right time, and elevated to ops. Did that for 4 years. Funny to think about it now because Dwayne is now the newly minted head coach at American University in D.C. We shared an office for a year. One of the best in the business. Still draw on that time fondly, and all the that I took in working with him and learning from him and that whole staff. And after 4 years there, kind of got connected on the recruiting trail with Coach Enfield, and the job opened up. We had some mutual friends, got connected, and the rest is history. And been here the last 7 years, and about to go into year 8.
Wow. So you just kept grinding and kept working hard and kept connecting with people. And now here you are. You're a key part of one of college basketball's hottest programs. You have a great title now, Assistant Athletic Director. Is that what I believe for basketball operations?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Was fortunate enough to, do a lot of good things here, be part of a lot of great teams over the last 6 years, and had some discussions, with Coach and in our administration about, how I can continue to impact the program positively and continue our rise over the last 6 years at the time, and so things worked out great, and I'm very appreciative of the roles that they've allowed me to take on, and here I am going into kind of quote unquote year 2 of that.
So are you still looking to become a basketball coach, or would you say that you are now firmly on the path toward a career in athletics administration?
Definitely on the tracks of athletics administration. Got into this kind of thinking I wanted to be a head coach, and as I navigated the business over the last 10, 12, 15 years, kind of learned a lot about myself and what my strengths are, and what I really like to do, and how those are best suited to helping run a program. And I found that a lot of that is on the administrative side, the support side, and just being there to kind of help everything run behind the scenes. So that kind of transitioned, from day one thinking I wanted to be a head coach to less about coaching and more about the administrative path with how to be able to support a program that's doing good things and trying to how can we be better than the day we were before. So
right,
just trying to help this program and coach and our assistants, our student athletes in any way I can, but from behind the scenes. I think they it's really their work we want to have shine, and they've done such a tremendous job over the last my 7 years that I've been here, but really from where Coach started in his first year to now is incredible to kind of be a part of, a small part, and watch it grow.
Yeah, someone who used to be in the seat that Dave Tuttle now sits in the SID chair for USC basketball, I totally commiserate with that, that great feeling of being a support person and being behind the scenes and just seeing people come through and developing. It's pretty exciting.
It is. It's you get to know these people off the floor, student athletes off the court, who they are is kind of kids when they come in and men when they leave, and to see them fulfill their goals, whether it's here or afterwards, playing professionally or entering the workforce, and it's a lot of really special stories have come through here my last 7 years.
Yeah, definitely a great feeling. Now, there have been a ton of changes since you've arrived. So what does USC do differently now as compared to when you first got there?
Well, I think it's, we've developed that culture of winning. And Coach built it, from the first couple of years. They went through, some ups and downs, and maybe it didn't show in the wins, losses, but they brought in the right kids. Jordan McLaughlin is one of the all-time greats here, both as a student athlete and as a person, and just building the program the right way. And success was never going to come overnight. And I think Jordan's sophomore year, they broke through and made the NCAA tournament in Coach's third year, and just building off that, success kind of can lead to more success, and being around good people, and Jordan attracting the right teammates. And after him and Elijah Stewart was Chimezi Metu and Benny Boatwright, and then it just kind of blossomed. And first it was making the tournament was the goal, and then it was making it every year, and then it's advancing, and so now just that kind of that launch pad that was set up over the first couple of years is built the foundation for to kind of attracting the type of student athletes here with the USC community, and you having really high expectations. I don't think there always was high expectations every year, and now we're kind of at the point where we're expected to make the tournament, we're expected to advance, and that's really great to see. Building that and being a part of that, and expectations are good. Everybody wants expectations, and so being a part of a winning culture and a winning program is a testament to the kids that we have here in the program now, the coaches, but everybody that's been a part of that and helped build that over the last for me 7 years, but really Coach over the last decade.
Well, yeah, it's been really exciting to see that growth of the program. There's a saying in sports that programs kind of take on the personalities of their head coach. So as an outsider looking in, this seems to be the case at USC. I see some even-keeled teams that still like to have fun. Is this generally a fair assessment, or has every team been different in your view?
Every team has a little bit of a different feel to it based on what the roster looks like, who are your older guys, their personalities. But Coach Enfield has such a steadying hand about him, and where he doesn't, when things maybe you lose a game or two in a row, it's not it's not the end. You don't get too low. You win a couple games. You enjoy those victories, but you move on and try to get the next one. And so just trying to stay even keel and pushing that forward, game to game, celebrating your successes, but moving on and focusing on the next game. And I think that's really helped just being level-headed and where we want to get to. And it's a journey. It's, one game doesn't make or break a season. And so it's a team in November doesn't always look like a team in March. I think we proved that this past year, where we started with a loss to Florida Gulf Coast to open the season. And people probably had some questions about how good this team could be, or how good that team could be last year. And to the kids' credit, our staff's credit, it was just, okay, it happened, move on. How do we get better from it? How do we learn from it? And how do we build a resume for March? And here we were on Selection Sunday in March and heard our name called. And so I think past year was probably a testament to taking it day by day, getting a little bit better every day, building on the day before, and not looking past to what we did or didn't do, and looking forward and making the tournament for a third year in a row.
For sure, this past year's team was really interesting to watch, from that slow start and then developing over the course of a season, getting Vince back, Trey White developing into a quality player, Boogie Ellis developing into a star. Definitely an entertaining team to watch. Okay, let's talk a little bit about basketball operations. What is your typical day like during the off season?
Really kind of depends on where we are in the off season. It's as soon as the season's done, it's kind of, you turn the page a little bit. There's guys leaving, but there's also a new group coming in. There's new, whether they're incoming freshmen, whether they're transfers. The recruiting process, I think, with the advent of the portal, has really increased what recruiting looks like following the course of the season. And so our attention turns to that a lot. That's off-campus recruiting by the staff, official visits on campus. Then once you kind of formulate what your incoming class is going to look like, and now it's time to get them acclimated to campus. Where are they going to when are they going to get here? When are they finishing high school? Getting them through the medical clearance process, getting them set up, everything from getting their emails to their schedule to where they're going to live to, taking a summer class and kind of being, really invested in acclimating to campus and finding their way, because sometimes it's for some guys it's really easy. Some guys need a summer, and I think that's really great about what we have in the summer now, is to take a summer course, understand what college life is all about. What do teachers expect, what the game looks like, how fast it is, change of pace in terms of on the floor. What does an individual workout look like? What does a team practice look like? And so by the time that the fall starts and training camp runs around, you have 6-8 weeks under their belt, and you can really hit the ground running. So the summer is a great time just to kind of get to know each other, figure out what your team's going to look like, and get on the floor, off the floor, who the personalities are, and who's going to kind of begin to take some of that leadership role. And so, after they're on campus and going through a workout, then we're kind of, the summer, July almost feels like a like training camp a little bit. You still got to schedule every day with practices, classes, weights, tutorings. Maybe you're watching film, all that stuff, so that by the time they get to the first day of school, some of that stuff's old news. And by the time you get to the middle of the summer, and that's full steam ahead, the schedule comes out. You start to know what your non-conference is going to look like. You find out where you're going to go in conference, and then now you start to kind of do a little bit of advanced research on, okay, where are we staying? What hotels? What meals might we want to look at? What flights? How are we getting there? When are we getting there? Is it a day early? Is it 2 days early? Are we changing time zones? Do we need to practice here, then leave? Or do we need to leave, then practice there to kind of get acclimated and stuff like that? So you're kind of building out what your season's going to look like. And as you get closer to that season and more details are known, not just game dates, but tip-off times, that's kind of the final piece to the puzzle that allows you to put everything into place of how you're going to get from point A to point B and back. I joke a lot about it, but sometimes it's nobody knows what the support staff or operations role does until the bus doesn't show up on time.
Right.
So, if I can stay behind the scenes and make everything run smoothly, that's the goal. And so, over the 6 months of the off season, what does it look like? Probably recruiting, acclimating those guys to campus, full on workouts, schedule comes about, putting that schedule together in terms of your logistics, how to get from point A to point B. And, there's some other things in there with related to budgets and, projections and things like that, or how you're going to spend some of your money and all that. So it sometimes you wouldn't think it, but sometimes I feel like the off season's busier than the season.
Now, are you one of those ops guys who sort of commits everything to memory right away so that when Coach Enfield asks you things, you have information right at your fingertips? Like, for instance, he wants to know what building one of the players has a class in, and you can suddenly produce that? Or do you have to refer to some notes on your iPhone or on a piece of paper somewhere?
It's I try to commit as much to memory as possible, just because having some of those answers at the fingertips can answer some questions right away. But technology is a beautiful thing now with these apps and all the information that you can keep on there. So sometimes it's just a click of a button and pulling up a guy's schedule on the the communication tool we use and getting answers in seconds. So it's a little bit of both. Try to know kind of where everybody is on a daily basis, and can we start a little bit earlier in a workout, or do we need to start a little bit later, or hey, want to take this guy to lunch and kind of feel him out where he's at and see how he's doing and stuff like that. When does he get out of class and where's he going to be? Maybe I can meet him on campus and stuff. So a little bit of both in that, and technology has certainly made that easier, but the more stuff you can kind of be prepared for and be proactive about as opposed to reactive, definitely the better.
Great. So as far as setting up travel and accommodations on road trips, how much of that is kind of crowdsourced from other ops guys around the country? You call someone up and say, hey, where's the best place to stay in Ames, Iowa or whatever, and how much of that is, well, I'm going to do my own research and try to find something?
Sure, a little bit of both. Certainly when in conference travel is kind of writes itself a little bit. Certainly, Coach has been here for a decade now. I've been here for 7, so you kind of fall into a little bit of a routine, what you like, what you don't like, and so in some ways the conference season takes care of itself. But more the non-conference, where have you been in the area before? If you haven't, I try to give a few different folks a call, and maybe it's an opponent, maybe somebody's there at the school that we're going to go play at, and hey, where'd you stay? Where'd you fly into? What's the closest airport? Did you take the guys out to eat? Where'd you go to eat? In the event that the facility's not available for practice, did you go practice somewhere else? Is there if you're going to a particular area that you've never been to before, are there kind of some cool team activities that might be worth it for the guys? And so you try to pick people's brains a little bit, and because if we're going to go to wherever the game might be scheduled, I've probably somebody else has already done it, and so to try to reinvent the wheel doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So try to get a little bit of an idea from others of what that looks like, what people have found success in, what they liked, what they didn't like, and then make sure it fits what we want to do and how we like to travel and what we like to get out of it and how we travel and things like that. So a little bit of both in terms of like you said, crowdsourcing information, but then at the end of the day, making sure that it works. It's doing what works best for us, and making sure that it's setting us up for success.
Are home games just way easier than the road games as far as from the operation standpoint?
Yes, probably, just because at home we've got so many additional folks that are here in your corner and are doing a few things behind the scenes that maybe people don't see. Certainly at home, we have our full team of support staff with us, our GAs, our managers, that really do so much for the program that doesn't really get seen a whole lot. It kind of happens before the doors open, before fans start to get in, pile into the arena, and certainly long after everybody leaves at night. And so going on the road isn't always just showing up at point A or point B and having everything laid out to you, because you still got to kind of navigate some uncertainties and some maybe some unfamiliar areas. So at home, I think just many hands makes light work, and you have your full complement of support staff with you, and you're in the comforts of of being home. You slept in your own bed the night before, and you have your office, and for the guys, they can go back and forth and have their little routine. And when you go on the road, some of that might get a little out of whack. And so there's definitely merits to both about what is a little bit more complicated, less complicated, but it each has its own advantages, I'd say.
Right. Do you guys still stay at the Valley River Inn when you go to Oregon?
We do not. We do not.
What?
We actually haven't stayed there. Have not stayed there since I've arrived here at USC. And actually, I think they didn't stay there the year before. But I've heard it only in whispers and in memories. Certainly, the couple of the good times that were, a couple of successful trips up to Oregon where they came back with a couple of wins.
Yeah, I think I almost got kicked out of that hotel one night, but that's a whole other story. So what is your favorite road trip in the league right now?
Favorite road trip? Well, it's you got so many cool cities. I get the question a lot, and I'm almost not sure I'm gonna. It feels a little bit like I'm skirting the issue, but I kind of like them all. I certainly think I favor the trips where, from a logistical standpoint, where you don't have to fly from one game to the next, just because that presents a couple of issues. And Colorado, Utah, and Washington State, you've got the weather, and gosh forbid we've run into a flight delay or a flight cancellation, had to kind of scramble and find some last minute accommodations every now and then, and flight diverting to a different airport. And so that presents a little bit extra challenges from my standpoint. So, if you kind of rule out some of those, Oregon leaves kind of the Oregon State trip, Stanford, Cal, and then Arizona State. So each of those are have their probably make it a little bit easier just to bus from point A to point B, and less a little bit less to worry about from my standpoint. So I'd probably split them into those two different groups, if you will, and selfishly from my standpoint, a little bit of a logistical standpoint, they're a little bit easier to deal with.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the rest of the support staff that you work with and how their roles intersect with yours.
Yeah, we've got a great group of staff. I mean, it's both on the coaching staff and in our support staff, and for my role specifically, touching so many different departments on campus, really, I rely on them so much for information, for getting things done, and just just kind of helping the day to day. We have great relationships with our academic department. Heather Bell, Marisa Samaniego, Kevin Bolin do an exceptional job with the guys. Just being there for them, supporting them academically. We've had an incredible track record with our academics and guys graduating and graduating on time. And if it wasn't for them and their relationship, we have with them, I think that'd be a lot different. So, credit to our group of academic support. Denise Kwok too, who's really been with us, from the time Andy got here, and just the support they give and to our guys and the relationship we have with them, and everything to our trainer John Yonamine. Certainly guy's an absolute stud in what he does. He's a hero, but just kind of goes about his work. And, part of this acclimation process is getting these guys, from appointment to appointment and setting it up. And, and then behind the scenes with all of our preparation in season, out of season on, self-scouting, opponent scouting, Kurt Karras, Desmond Farmer, just being around for our guys, and Kurt's an animal in the video room, and if coach wants to see something, he's got it ready, pulled up at his fingertips. And what do they do against this, or how many times do they run zone, or do they press, or how do they handle the ball screens? Kurt's got all that information at the fingertips. If coaches watch 5, 6, 7 games, Kurt's probably watched 9, 10, 11, 12 games, just being prepared and being ready. Kind of goes back to your earlier question, how much of it is let me go back and check, and how much of it is answers on the spot. And Kurt's really great with that. And just being prepared from a video standpoint, a scouting standpoint, both on ourselves. What are we going to run? What are the other team going to run? How are they going to guard us? Stuff like that. And then, I alluded to it earlier, but we just have an exceptional group of student managers. We are really fortunate. We've got it's an older group. They've been with the program for 3 and 4 years. They take so much off my plate in terms of just kind of really thinking ahead, being proactive, doing kind of things without even me needing to ask, what the situation is, or what challenges we're going to run into. They're 2 steps ahead of me sometimes, which is invaluable to the success of our program. And when we go on the road, they're up. They're the first ones up in the morning. They're the last ones to turn in at night. And just because they've got we've got so much to do and make sure everything runs smooth, so that when the coaches, student athletes show up, they're focused on winning, and they're there to win a basketball game, and that's all they need to do. And they don't need to worry about X, Y, and Z. And so, all of us working together, and it's not just within the basketball program. It stems to facilities. It stems to all different parts of campus that are really truly invested in the success of our program. And I think just the winning culture on the court is a testament to them, and how it allows Coach Enfield and to our staff to really focus on basketball and not have to worry about any of the other stuff.
Great. So when a recruit comes on an official visit, what role do you play, and how does the staff sell USC?
Well, it kind of depends on where the recruit is coming from. How are they getting here? Do they need flights? Is it a car service? Are they driving themselves? Are they local? Are they out of state? Who's going to come with them? Working within our compliance, hand in hand with our compliance department, to figure out, what we can do and who's coming with them, and do they have younger siblings, and what rules that we need to be aware of, and so how are they getting to campus? Where are they staying? Where are we going to eat? Who their host is going to be, making sure that the different appointments that they have, with different people on campus mesh and gel. And so trying to figure out how to put all of that together. And it's kind of like a game of Tetris a little bit. When are they going to sit down with coach? When are we going to watch some video? When are we going to tour campus, academics, housing? When are they getting a little bit of downtime? This can't just be a go, 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 go. And even though we have, a limited amount of time with them, when can they have a few minutes to for themselves and just kind of talk as a family and how things are going and come up with questions and stuff for our staff that we can answer. So certainly we're very fortunate in that we feel like the program is at a really healthy spot. We're winning consistently. Guys are fulfilling lifelong dreams and making it to the next level. Drafting, there's three programs in the country that have had a draft pick the last 3 years, and that's Duke, Kentucky, and USC. So, every young ball player's dream is to play in the NBA one day, and we're setting them up for success. And the guys who are not in the NBA are having great careers overseas. And so being able to kind of keep those relationships with the guys and see all their successes for life after USC. And certainly when you come to USC academically, it's not a 4-year decision. It's a lifelong, it's a 40-year decision because of the relationships that kids are going to have and make, with their teammates, but just with the rest of the student population here. Everybody who's in classes with them is looking to and striving to turn pro and in whatever their passion is. And it's not just may not be athletics. It might be cinematography here, or communications, or in the business world, real estate, and so really some of the relationships that they can make while they're here on campus, both within the athletic department and then outside the athletic department with the greater campus community is invaluable. It's really hard to put really hard to kind of see just how what the impact that makes on a student athlete in the short time that they're here. So certainly being part of a winning program, the ability to play basketball long after they're gone here from USC, and setting them up for success beyond their career, beyond their basketball career. So making sure that they have a great experience here on campus, making sure they have a great experience in their professional career, and then making sure that they're set up for success beyond their professional career. So we think we've got a great, situation in that three-pronged, phases of life, so to speak: USC, basketball after USC, and then, whatever's next after, when basketball is done. So I think focusing on those three things is kind of what we strive for in recruitment, and whether that's an incoming freshman or a transfer or a graduate transfer.
The program's recruiting just seems to be getting better and better over time. This last year's class was arguably your best that you guys have signed. Currently ranked, I think, number 4 by the services. How much of that is just you guys are a better program over the years, or how much of that is you're getting better at communicating just what you told me, all these things about letting people know that, hey, this is what we have to offer. This is everything you just described was very cohesive, very sound, very logical, and I think very appealing. And is that something that you hone over a period of time, and now you've got the pitch down, and then combined with the success on the court, this makes you a really formidable recruiting force?
Yeah, I don't think we set out to try to recruit players based on their rankings, and so I think this class, being one of the higher rated classes we've had, is more of a byproduct than an actual goal. We look so much at who a player is off the court, almost as much as who they are on the court. And so, do we strive to say, hey, we need to, look at, do we look at rankings first? No, it just, that's kind of more of a byproduct of our evaluation. rankings are nice, but they're not the end all be all, and certainly, and it doesn't necessarily translate to success. So, what I think winning has done for us here at USC is kind of broadened the spectrum a little bit for us in terms of who might be also interested in USC, and becoming more of a national brand. I think is winning has done that because people want to be a part of winning programs and make the tournament and go far in the tournament and be able to play beyond USC. So the class rankings are good. But at the end of the day, they don't. It doesn't necessarily. It's not a given that that's going to translate to success. So we really try to kind of focus on the intangibles. The character of a young man. His life away from basketball. And so if they happen to be really talented players, that have a higher ranking, that's great. But we're more focused on, the character of an individual, who they are off the court, on the court. Do they want to be a part of the USC community? How do they fit in with our current team, whoever's going to be returning or whoever we're bringing in? And so it kind of all it's a little bit of a game of Tetris in that respect, in terms of building a class. How many people do you need to bring in? Sometimes it's only one or two in a year, and sometimes it's 4 or 5. So it really kind of depends on a year-to-year basis of what the team looks like that's going to come back, and how do we fill in those gaps with the right people, and people we think are going to be really good teammates who are also pretty talented.
Yeah, I think one of the things that backs up what you're saying is the fact that a lot of the guys who are really highly rated in this class and some previous classes, you guys were on them very early before they had reached their lofty heights. I think Isaiah Collier was, he was a 5-star highly rated guy, but he wasn't the number one player, I think, when you guys were going after him. And I think other guys like Silas Demery, who didn't stick with you guys, and Ayrton Page, I think when you started recruiting them, they were lower down and they moved up. And so it's pretty clear you're not chasing rankings, that you're actually basing it on the fit and the scouting.
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like DeAnthony Melton. I think DeAnthony Melton was probably on nobody's top 100, but we recruited him from the start and from an early on, and he fit with our program. The type of kid he is, he's got one of the best smiles I've ever been around, and just a genuinely great teammate, and wants to win and wants to do the little things. And Kobe Johnson, is our going to be a returning captain for us, and probably wasn't all that high on the rankings, but came in as a freshman and waited his turn a little bit, didn't get a chance to play as much as certainly he wanted to, and then really dialed in and had an incredible sophomore campaign, and we're expecting him to be an integral part of our team this year. And so rankings are nice, but a lot of times there's for whatever reason somebody doesn't get ranked as high as maybe they should, and so you get a guy like Kobe Johnson, who is just a consummate team player and a winner, and he does things the right way. He's got a great attitude, and he brings people with him. That's the type of player he is, and I have no doubt he's going to have a long career after USC because he plays the right way and he does the right things.
And that's why I think both Melton and Kobe are two of the fan favorites over the years for USC. But let's switch gears now for a second to out-of-conference scheduling, which you also are a part of or handle, according to your bio. What goes into that on your end, and what's been the philosophy to date, and how will that change, if at all, going forward as USC moves on to the Big Ten?
Sure. Scheduling is definitely a collaborative effort. Coach Enfield, Chris Capco is our associate head coach, is really instrumental in our scheduling process, and I take a lot of cues from him and just kind of try to support him really whenever possible in that scheduling. Building a schedule, I should say, and every year is different because what does your team look like? Are you a little bit older, or maybe you younger? Not only scheduling games, but when do you schedule them? Where are the games that are going to be played? Who are you going to play? Quad ones, quad twos. I know that's kind of like the buzzword now, and when it comes to tournament time and building that resume of how many opportunities did you have, but I think first you take a look at kind of what your team, what you think about your team. Are you going to be older? Are you going to be a little bit younger? Have you got guys who've been through the wars before? And then it's just kind of building it from there. Sometimes there's multiple year contracts, so there's some games that are already kind of scheduled for you. So, you take for Auburn, for example, we're headed to Auburn. But that's been scheduled for a couple of years. So that wasn't really something that we had to factor in. You work around that. But some of the stuff is maybe already laid out for you, especially the MTEs nowadays are probably scheduled 3-4 years ahead of time. So anytime you kind of go into an off season to build your schedule, some of the pieces are already there. And then you look for, you try to figure out what you need from there. Is it a quality opponent? Is it a neutral site game? If you already have a high profile series that's on the road, maybe you want to have offset that with something that's at home. Certainly our schedule is kind of in a changing landscape of, because future with the Big Ten, that presents different opportunities for the non-conference. But just kind of putting all of those things together and figuring out what is going to set this team up, the particular team that you have up for success early on, success in preparing your team for the conference season, and then ultimately for putting yourself in the best possible position when it comes time for postseason play.
Right. Well, it's being widely reported that USC is going to be playing Gonzaga in Vegas on December 2nd. Is that something you can confirm?
We're in talks with Gonzaga. Still waiting on a couple of particulars. Don't have anything set in stone yet. So there's active ongoing conversations. Gonzaga wants to play the game. We want to play the game. But there's no contract that's signed just yet.
Okay. This is the last rumor I'll ask you about, and that is that both USC and UCLA are investing in a kind of shared Midwest campus that will be used to store equipment year-round and house student athletes on the road trips and have some practice and academic facilities. Is there any legs to that?
Great question, and I have not been told one way or the other. We're still waiting to hear on what the Big Ten schedule might look like. Will you go out there and play a couple games? Are we going to go out there and play a single game? How often are we going to go? There's a lot of questions still to be answered, and I think right now we're probably still just focused on our last season in the Pac-12 and going out on the right note and hopefully competing for a Pac-12 championship and beyond.
Who's the first Big Ten basketball ops guy you're going to call to get the lowdowns on Big Ten travel?
That's a great question. I don't know. Certainly we practiced at Ohio State when we were in Columbus for the NCAA tournament, and so Dave Egelhoff and I had some good conversations. Just from being around, we practiced there one of the days and got a chance to see their campus a little bit, and had some informal conversations both ways about what it's like to come out to LA and then what it's like to play in the Big Ten every night.
Right. How's the planning for the Europe trip going?
Great. We're really excited about it. We're obviously going to Greece and Croatia. in the early part of August. Similar to 2019, when we last went overseas, it's coming at a really great time. Just with the roster that we have and the guys we have coming back and some of the new guys that we can acclimate to campus, and it's going to give us a leg up. We're going to get 10 practices ahead of time. So the basketball piece will be accelerated. So by the time we get to the first official practice in late September, we're going to be 2-3 steps ahead of where we normally would be. And then mostly I'm just looking forward to getting over there, kind of turning off the phone a little bit and just kind of be invested with the group that we have. Getting a chance to know the freshmen in the DJ as a transfer, on a better level, more personal level, and what makes these guys tick, and just kind of being around them and investing them as people away from basketball. And we're going to go over there. We're going to play 3 great games against older competition, but getting a chance to kind of get to know these guys even better, just away from the court, is really the great part about these opportunities. And for some guys who have never been out of the country, it presents a really cool, life-changing moment. Getting the passports for the first time for a couple of these guys is just like a life milestone. And going across the Atlantic Ocean and visiting cities that we've never visited, seeing sites that you read about in the history books and see on TV and in movies is going to be a really, really cool experience, and I'm sure it's one that the team's never going to forget.
I was on that trip 4 years ago when you played in Barcelona, and then also just outside Cannes in very hot, cramped gyms in front of friends and family, very small affairs. Do you think that maybe given the hype of this team that there might be some more spectators in the crowd this go around?
Yeah, well, we're going to play. We're going to go to Athens and we're just going to kind of get acclimated to the time zone and just spend a couple days sightseeing and seeing all the history and just immersing ourselves in that, and then headed over to Mykonos and to spend a few days there, and we're actually play 2 games over there, and because just kind of like you said, it's Mykonos has one of the few gyms in Europe that's air conditioned, so it's gonna have gonna be a little bit cooler.
Yeah, they don't believe in air conditioning over there.
Yeah. So we're that's that's going to be a good piece for us, and then we'll finish up the trip in Dubrovnik and Croatia and play 1 game over there and get a chance to explore
King's Landing.
Yes, yeah, for the Game of Thrones folks. Yes,
another great city.
Just get immersed in that culture as well and play our final game.
Cool. So looking back, describe to me your top 3 memorable moments since you've been at USC.
I will say probably obviously our run to the Elite Eight was pretty surreal. Just as growing up as a somebody who had never been a part of a second weekend team, and I know it was a little bit different that year with COVID and whatnot, but playing inside of it's hard to kind of describe the feeling of walking out and playing inside of a football stadium, and just the imagery that is, and just the stakes. We were the 1 game away from the Final Four. I think is certainly something we'll never forget. Probably the first year. My first year in 2016-17, when we made the tournament, we were one of the last teams in. We ended up playing in the first 4. We were down 15 at halftime, stormed all the way back and to beat Providence, to head over, and then got on a 3 a.m. flight to Tulsa that night and turned around and played SMU 2 days later, and to beat them basically at the buzzer, and to be right, to play 3 games in 5 days was a whirlwind. And my first year here, and it was just an incredible incredible experience in that regard. And then, after that, maybe playing Arizona for the Pac-12 championship in Vegas in 2018 was a really cool moment, just in terms of the on-court experience that I've been able to fortunate to be a part of here at USC.
So you guys are primed for a big season, kind of like back in 2018 when you guys were top 10. You guys probably be ranked around there, somewhere in the top 15. What kind of steps is USC taking to try to draw more fans to Galen Center this year?
Well, I think probably just we've got a great opportunity, like we talked about with the foreign tour, and so we've got a chance to get some folks excited a little bit earlier than normal with some of our new players and seeing some kind of game film, highlights and stuff like that. In August is going to be a little bit different, because normally your first kind of experience of the season is in November, and we're going to have a chance to kind of expose our team a little bit early to some of the the new guys that freshmen and graduate transfer of what this team can look like and ultimately become down the road in March. And I think our success over the last couple of years has people have started to take notice, and then our incoming class is going to complement our returning pieces really well. DJ Rodman is an older guy. He's played 4 years of college. He's got 1 year with us, only, unfortunately, but he's going to be seamless. People are going to love watching him play, and both sides of the ball, and then the incoming class of Isaiah Collier, Arrington Page, Bronny James, and Brandon Gardner are they all bring something different to the table, and so. Like you said, I think the class is rated pretty high, but I think that will help have fans kind of take notice. But just combining the excitement of a new class with the returning group that we have is going to and going to Europe is got people talking about the program a little bit more than maybe they would in a normal year.
Very true. So how much do you guys rely on basketball analytics and scouting and assessing other teams and players and your own team and players?
Sure. It's a give and take a little bit between, personal evaluations, what you see with your own eye, and statistical analysis and what the stats say. And I think it also kind of, a little bit of how do you like to play? Stats are great, and offensive rebounding percentage is great, and defensive transition is great, but sometimes it's a give and take. You can't always have both. Focus on both and be really good at both. And so I think part of I say that to say that statistical analysis is a little bit about knowing which stats work for you and how you like to play and how you like to scout, because certainly stats can only tell you so much. They don't tell the whole picture, and so the eye test, the evaluating, watching film, there's no substitute for that. And I think stats lend credence to that and lend good backup data to that, and kind of can help you make informed decisions. So we kind of have a happy marriage here of just the eye test and watching, what we see every day, both for us and an opponent, versus what the data says, and kind of figuring out how that works how they work together, and putting us in the best possible position for success.
Back when I was at SC working there during the Pete Carroll football run, basketball was almost an afterthought in the minds of not only USC fans, but to me, a little bit the administration. USC has always had this reputation as a football school, and this was a longstanding problem that I think really affected the ability of the program to compete at the highest levels. That's why I started USCbasketball.com to try to kind of build a ride or die online fan culture around the program. And now, though, there seems to be way more support, way better facilities, way more focus on getting basketball right. You mentioned it all before about how all the great support you guys get. And it's, it almost seems like night and day compared to how it used to be. And that's a great testament to what you guys have done on the court and just how you run the program. But if you had a magic wand and you could do something to make things even better, what would that be?
That's a great question. I think we're trending in the right direction, as an athletic department, in all areas. I know we just unveiled kind of the plan of the future with new facilities and better resources for our student athletes and putting them in the best possible position to succeed in an environment that they're supported, from in that 360 holistic approach, whether it's as coaching staff, whether it's our nutrition department and how they fuel on a daily basis, to sports psych, to academics, to athletic medicine and our facilities is, I think, just that continued growth that we're really seeing and across the athletic department. It's there's no better time to be a part of the athletic department as a whole, and I think all sports are going to benefit from that vision that is kind of being promoted here in the last few days of what the future of USC athletics holds.
Just a couple more questions and we'll get out of here. What advice would you give to someone who wants to work in college basketball?
Number one piece of advice I would say is don't get caught up in comparing, somebody's path to how they got from point A to point B with how somebody else should do it. There's so many different ways to advance in this business. There's so many different end games in this business, like we talked about a little bit earlier. There's folks that want to be head coaches. There's folks that want to be just kind of lifetime assistant coaches. There's folks that want to be in the administrative role, or college or the professional ranks. And so there's no one way that's leads directly to success. There's a million different ways. And so the way I got to my position at my point in my career might look totally different than the next person that comes along, or there was some people have a manager background, some people have a playing background, high school, college, small college, overseas, AAU. So there's no one way to kind of set yourself up for success. I think doing what makes sense for you and feeling comfortable in that, and running your own race, and knowing that hard work will pay off, and success will come for those who put in the work and the time, and when opportunity knocks, taking advantage of it. So I just think that just not getting caught up and saying that the way I did it is the right way to do it for somebody else, because it may not be. And this was the path that I took and I thought was best for me, and what thought would lead me to be most successful. And that doesn't mean it's easy, it's best for somebody else, and that's okay. And you're not supposed to be at point A by this age or point B by this age, and so just being comfortable in the race that you're running, and doing what you putting the work in, and doing what you feel is best for you, and going from there.
Well, 10 years from now, where do you envision yourself?
I ask myself that every single day. Hopefully I'm still here at USC, being able to continue to elevate this program and bring it to new heights, and support our student athletes to their goals of playing professionally and having long careers, and and seeing guys come back and graduate that leave early, or if they stay all 4 years, get their degrees, and be better versions of themselves, and see them become really successful people on and off the court. And that's what's really truly special about this profession is watching guys grow, and when they don't even know they're growing, and seeing that from the time they step on campus to the time they leave. So hopefully I'm still doing that here at USC in 10 years.
Over the years, you've displayed perhaps the most eclectic personal style of anyone on staff. You've had your beard, which you have again now. Another year, you grew your hair out, and then you put it into a bit of a man bun. Sometimes you wear glasses, other times not. And I think the last time I saw you on TV, you were a little bit more conservative, but now I see you got your beard back. Is there a method to your style madness, and what kind of ensemble can we expect this year when it's possible USC basketball is going to be on more screens across the country than ever before?
Well, that's a good question. I get bored kind of easily, and so I go back and forth with the beard and nod and with that. So it's just kind of how I'm feeling. It could be gone tomorrow. I could wake up and say, "Hey, this is time for a change." And my family comes from my mom's side of the family is in the clothing business, so. It's kind of from an early age, kind of enjoyed that piece of being around. That was how I got to look up to my cousins and be around the family, and so I just tried to hopefully I can bring a little bit of a different flavor, because we're coaching basketball and we're having fun, and it's I've truly been blessed with the ability to be around such good coaching staffs and student athletes and programs, and so part of it's not just not taking myself too seriously, and part of it is just kind of enjoying the day to day.
I think I'm going to go back and check out what USC's record is with or without beard, or with or without hair. Yeah. Anyway, hey, Mike, thanks again for being on the Dunk City podcast. Thanks for being a friend of USCBasketball.com. And on behalf of Trojan basketball fans everywhere, please wish the team the best of luck as it prepares for the upcoming season.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and certainly appreciate all your support, and we appreciate it as a program, and the coolest thing ever is to be able to go out and play in front of your own fans, whether that's at home, on the road, and see some familiar faces, and see people in the Cardinal and Gold, whether we're in LA or on the road, or at a neutral site, or in a hostile environment. And so appreciate all you do for USC athletics in general, and we're looking forward to a great year.
Everyone is, and we really appreciate you taking the time.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate you.
And we appreciate you for spending more time with us on the Dunk City podcast this week. Let's turn it into a hoops habit. Follow us on all the major streaming platforms, or stop by uscbasketball.com for a listen. Otherwise, set a reminder on your phone, block off some time on your iCalendar, or just put a sticky note on your fridge, and be sure to come back again for our next pod. As the season gets closer, we'll be sure to talk about the USC basketball news and information you care about. Thanks again, everyone, and fight on.